Tonight on KGW News, how preserving nearly 100 years of history
5 generations of our family have gone to Kara School.
became a Herculean feat.
Every time they throw a wrench in the works and we have a new challenge.
The group that gave their all to making sure their memories wouldn't be destroyed. Also tonight, why you might notice more of this all over Portland's busiest roads. Plus, looking for a place to camp? Why not everyone's thrilled with the Rose City's new map.
So our neighborhood apparently is free range.
But first, teachers in another district set to hit the picket lines on what was supposed to be the first day of school. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco, and we begin with schools in the biggest district in Southwest Washington officially closed on Wednesday, with teachers in the Evergreen district now on strike. That means some 26,000 students and their parents will have to find other options. Evergreen will join Camas teachers who have been on the picket line since Monday. That strike will likely stretch into day 3, and in Battleground, school will start as planned tomorrow after teachers there decided they will not strike, at least not yet, as contract negotiations continue. Now, the specific sticking points for those contracts differ from district to district. For example, in Evergreen, teachers say they are pushing for more support for students with special needs, more time for educators to plan, a cost of living raise, and added staff to make sure students have a safe learning environment.
It's really empowering. It's really awesome to see all these teachers out here willing to start their year, on the back foot, right? Because once we do finally go back, when we do reach an agreement, we're all going to be scrambling to get it all together. But we're willing to do that in order to support our students and in order to support our colleagues. And I think that's what's awesome.
Well, we've got a small silver lining tonight when it comes to sports in Evergreen. Practices and games will continue as scheduled because coaches work under a separate contract. We, of course, will continue to watch all 3 districts closely. We'll have any updates starting on sunrise and anytime on KGW.com. This evening, we are watching a monster of a hurricane churning through the Gulf of Mexico toward Florida's coast, with forecasters now predicting Hurricane Idalia will make landfall somewhere in the Big Bend region as a Category 4, just hours away now. Storm watchers are calling Idalia, quote, extremely dangerous. Even the Tampa-St. Pete area, that's some 200 miles south of where its eye might cross onto the shore, could experience some damaging storm surge. Now, county after county, people are packing up and have been told to leave, though for many in the storm's path, where it is really now the early hours of the morning, that time has essentially run out. On top of all of that, nearly all of Florida's western coastline is under a tornado watch. And keep in mind here, forecasters say this could still be a Category 1 hurricane as it makes its way overland into southern Georgia, past Savannah, even into South Carolina. And back here in the Northwest, we are also keeping an eye on a wildfire that prompted level 3 go now evacuations in Wasco County near the town of Dufur. Department of Forestry officials now say they have stopped the growth of the Winslow Road fire and no structures have been lost. This burned roughly 950 acres since it broke out this afternoon, driven by very strong winds. Crews are still on scene and will be throughout the day tomorrow, mopping up any hot spots. New at 11, get used to graffiti. That is the message ODOT is essentially sending to people who drive on Portland's highways, saying they've now run out of extra funds that made removing all that unsightliness one of their priorities. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom. Alma, does this mean it's open season for taggers?
Well, David, a spokesperson with ODOT tells me it's not as though they won't remove any graffiti from here on out. It's that other repairs like fixing potholes and cracks in the pavement will be the main focus without that extra funding.
It's not a new problem.
It's not new, but it does ebb and flow a lot with the city.
But as of late, it is a growing one.
If taggers continue at their current rate, then Portlanders will see more graffiti because we don't have that boost in capacity to remove it.
For 2 years, the Oregon Department of Transportation did have that boost and capacity after state lawmakers authorized a one-time allocation of $1 million to address the problem within Portland. In partnership with the city, ODOT's contractor could focus in on removal and cleanup on state roads and property. Funding for this ran out June 30th.
Now we are back into, that normal situation, at least as far as state highways go, the portion of the roads and bridges that ODOT is responsible for. Our maintenance crews still remove graffiti, but we don't have the capacity of that extra private contractor work that was being done for 2 years.
David House with ODOT says crews will always prioritize safety repairs over graffiti removal. But some argue graffiti is a matter of safety.
All graffiti is a public safety issue, right? Whether it's on the freeway or on the buildings out here, because it does breed other things that are happening in your community, right? It's a blight on the community.
Paul Watts owns Graffiti Removal Services. The city's hired him and his team to tackle numerous projects, including downtown's Jackson Tower, earlier this year.
The best deterrent to keeping graffiti off your building or any property is remove it as fast as you can. And I know that kind of seems kind of backwards, that we get a lot of people saying, oh, they're just going to put it back up again. We're like, you're right, they will, but you know, a dog goes to the bathroom on my front lawn. I just don't leave it there over for the next couple months, right? I pick it up. I don't want it on there. I want to pick it up and get it out of there.
Now, although that extra money may not be there for round-the-clock attention, people making their way through the city on I-5, 405, 84, 26, you can call or email ODOT with your graffiti-related concerns. We'll have a link to the Ask ODOT page on KGW.com. David?
Yeah, you know what? It's a long list, and I guess now it's only going to continue to grow. Thank you, Alma. All right, we knew this was coming, and now we have a map published by the city of Portland that shows where people cannot camp overnight. This comes roughly 2 months after a daytime camping ban on public property went into effect. Let's give you a look. The red areas here are where camping is banned 24 hours a day, though. Keep in mind, they haven't actually marked off private property, but areas around like parks and schools. In other words, all the gray here, not necessarily okay. But here is some of the reaction we heard near Southeast 80th and Ryan, which neighbors say has become a magnet of sorts for homeless camping and drug use.
This street has been hit so hard over the last 7 years. Yeah, I mean, the fact that they still, to this day, are like, who cares? We're going to protect all these other neighborhoods first. Yeah, that's heartbreaking to me.
The map is just crazy. Like, there's actually way more places you can camp than I ever thought.
The city says it's distributing this map as part of the educational phase of the ban, with enforcement set to start this fall. For a closer look at the map, head to KGW.com. Well, from camping to crime, where the city says it is now working to boost security in downtown's public parking garages. PBOT now plans to spend roughly $2.5 million to hire 10 new security guards to patrol those garages. That is on top of the 4 guards already on patrol at 5 city-owned Smart Park garages, one of which is closed indefinitely. One of the guards told us criminals are now breaking the lights inside the garage, making it darker and easier to break into vehicles. We also found at least one driver whose car was broken into just a month ago. The thief there got away with several $100s worth of her stuff. Still to come, the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. So what or who does it take to move a nearly century-old schoolhouse? How this saga ended with a big celebration. Plus, a Heart Market house for just $200 grand. Okay, what's the catch? Why this listing may not be for everyone.
And this summer, no longer dry, seeing our first bit of measurable rain. More on that in your 7-day forecast coming up.